Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have Gouki Infinite Negates. The full combo is just one Gouki plus any warrior extender, and we run tons of them. So this is a build where I did run Marauding Captain. I decided to take it out for a couple of Fire Flint ladies. So for now, this is our hand. I'm just going to just consider that I just have the Marauding Captain and the Octastretch in my hand, and I'm just going to like kind of ignore everything else. So we kind of just start off with the normal summon Marauding Captain, summon out Octastretch, and we go into Isolde. Octastretch and Chainlink 1 and Isolde Chainlink 2. The Isolde Chainlink 2, sometimes you want it to resolve, sometimes you don't want it. It's okay if it doesn't resolve. In this case we want it to resolve because we do not have any Gouki monsters. But if you do have a Gouki monster, it's okay if it doesn't resolve. So we'll get search for a Re-Scorpio, and we'll get search for Headbat. Isolde will trigger, sending Phoenix Blade for an Octastretch. Headbat will trigger, discarding the Re-Scorpio, summon itself out. We go into a Reprodocus. We change its type to a Winged Beast. We'll go into Simorgh Bird of Sovereignty, and we'll get a search for another Gouki rematch just as a follow-up for next turn. We'll activate rematch. We will summon both of them out, and it doesn't matter which. If you had another Gouki at the start, for example, if this was something like Gouki Suprex or Twist Cobra, you can summon that out. You can summon out any Gouki you want, but one of them has to specifically be an Octastretch, because we'll be linking it off into a Link Rebo. We'll activate Virus Swordsman, summoning out Zero Day, Virus Berserker, summoning out more stuff. Now, Virus Berserker has another effect to pop back row. If your opponent had 3 back row, well, basically in this situation, you can use Virus Breaker's effect to summon 3 back row. And if your opponent has 3 back row and nobody knows why they haven't activated yet, you can just get rid of them if you want. Link Cross will trigger. We summon 2 tokens. Link Rebo will tribute a token for itself. We'll go into an Avermax, and then we'll go into a Union Carrier. So right here we have the Simorgh, we have the Union Carrier. You should know that these two by themselves is full combo, and the Avermax is just the icing on top. So we're going to equip Thunderbird, we're going to set 1, activate Phoenix Blade, and pretty much we just pass. In some cases, you might not want to summon the second token. If you're up against something like Mech Knights, the zones really can be bad. Sometimes you might have to summon the Apex Avion here, even though it won't be protected by your Simorgh. And this kind of does lose to cards like Cosmic Cyclone, Twin Twister, any quick play spell or trap removal. It also loses to, I believe, Dark Ruler no more. Any form of Kaiju / Lava Golem / Wing Sphere mode, anything like that loses to Dark Ruler, loses to Super Poly. Those are the only things I believe this deck loses to specifically. But even if your opponent does play Mech Knight, it's not too big of a deal because you are running Avermax, and Mech Knights don't really have a consistent way to get rid of cards like Avermax. And even if they do Kaiju you will still have the Avermax on field, which is a plus, I guess. So in case you do not know how Infinite Negates work, it's all you need is to get a Mist Valley Apex Avion field and Mist Valley Thunderbird on field. What Apex Avion does is once per chain, if a card is activated, bounce a Mist Valley card and negate it. And what Thunderbird says, if it's bounced from the field to the hand, you can just summon it back. So neither of these effects are once per turn. Apex Avion is once per chain, so it does kind of restrict you in some cases. If you're up against a deck that loves to just go like Chainlink 21, this might be bad for you. But what Apex Avion does, when your opponent activates card effect, you bounce back your Mist Valley Thunderbird in order to negate it, and then Mist Valley Thunderbird will trigger. Since it was bounced to your hand, you can summon it back. And next time your opponent activates an effect, you can activate Apex Avion again, bounce back the Thunderbird, negate it, and then Thunderbird will summon himself back. And you can infinitely just bounce back with Apex Avion, infinitely summon Thunderbird. Just a really great, just super great, the Infinite Negates. A couple of days ago I did showcase a Buster Lock variant of Gouki. Do check that out, the link will be in the description. And that is just the combo tutorial. Usually sometimes, once again, if you're up against something like something on the lines of Mech Knight, you can just not summon the token and move the Apex Avion here too. Just plays around Mech Knight zones. So we'll go on to some replays and duels that I had then. For our first duel, we are up against Zombie Eldritch. As you can see, they have the Zombie World, Ballad Rock, all of that stuff, and I've opened Super Poly. Now, I did say Super Poly isn't out to this board, but I'm pretty sure that there are only 2 Super Poly targets that out them. One target is very widely used in the form of Muddy Mud Dragon, but Zombie Eldritch does not actually play Muddy Mud Dragon because of Zombie World, because it does just restrict all players to just one type. So Super Poly is Super Poly, and the other one is not as used, but it is World Chalice Guard Dragon Almarduke. Or was it World Legacy Guard Dragon Almarduke? It's something on those lines, and basically it's materials of 3 link monsters, which we do get most of the time. So as you can see here, if we just go into his extra deck, he is playing Numeron Zombie Eldritch. I don't feel sorry that I destroyed him at all. But the only 2 he play are Nether Soul and Starving Venom, and we are going to be going first. This combo is very consistent. We're going to start off with the Rhoda. We get search for Butter Spy. Once again, I did add in Fireflint Lady later, but for now we're going to have the Marauding Captain. We're going to special summon the Quantum Red Layer, normal summon Marauding Captain, activates effect, chain the blue man with Butter Spy, special summon the Super X. In case you're wondering why I didn't just normal summon Super X, special summon Headbat, Headbat does come, it does kind of pay off to just keep the Headbat in your hand. Off the Assault, we're going to search a Super X for a follow-up, and we're going to search a Re-Scorpio off the Gouki this time. The reason why we did this is because Assault does lock us out of special summoning monsters with the same name, so we can summon the Re-Scorpio off the Gouki rematch later, and then we'll get a search off the Re-Scorpio too. So then we're going to activate Assault, dump the Phoenix Blade, summon out Octostretch, use Headbat, summon it, and you always have to remember it has to be directly below an extra monster zone, otherwise the combo will not work. We're going to link into Link Rebo. It doesn't matter when you do it, you can do it later, before, it doesn't matter too much. We're going to go into a Reaper Docus, change it to a Winged Beast, and then go into Simorg. We're going to activate Headbat, search another Gouki rematch. At this time, I believe I was running 3 Gouki rematches. I cut it down to 2 because you don't really use the other. You only use 1 other copy because 3 is a bit much. I'm gonna go into Virus Swordsman. The reason why I had to link away that red layer is because I was taking up a zone over here. I shouldn't have done that. It was a misplay on my part, but don't do that when you're going. So as you can see, I do get the 2nd and 3rd rematch. Kind of unnecessary, but this was an early build, you have to forgive me. So we're gonna activate Virus Berserker, summoning more stuff. Union Carrier will equip Thunderbird, and then we're gonna activate Link Revo, tribute 1 for it. And the reason why we're going into Link Revo is because we will be ending on only a 2 negate Appaloosa. And the reason, I mean, we had the ability to end on an Avermax, but I just decided to go for the 2 negate Appaloosa instead, mainly because Link Revo kind of does the same thing as Avermax. It's not as efficient, because if your opponent has something that can special summon itself out, that isn't considered an effect, such as cards like Blackwing Board Spear, for example, or Gizmek Orochi. Any of that stuff, Link Revo would have been terrible. But we do have 2 backup negates, and even if they do attack over the Thunderbird, we still have another negate in the form of Apex Avion, because he can't bounce himself. So the Link Revo kind of does the job, not exactly, but we're gonna have to deal with what we have. We're summoning the Apex Avion. He's gonna set I believe he drew every single Golden Land spell trap, and since I don't really have too many darks on my field, he can't do anything. So we're gonna run some Super X. We're gonna go into an access code. He will judgment that, and Super X will trigger anyways. We get search for Twist Cobra. We're gonna activate rematch, and revive the Suprex and the Re-Scorpio. Link into an Isolde Re-Scorpio, and Isolde will trigger. Isolde will search Goblin Brick, because why not? And then we'll get to search for another Twist Cobra, because we don't really have much of a choice at this point. I believe all I have left is one Re-Scorpio, one Suprex, one Octostretch, and a bunch of Twist Cobra, because I've searched all my copies of Rematch. And then we're going to summon an Octostretch, activate Phoenix Blade, and then I'm just going to tribute the Octostretch equipped with Phoenix Blade and recur the Phoenix Blade just for the extra swag. And right here, I don't think he had an opportunity to use his Super Poly, summoning his Starving Venom. But anyways, all he has now is the Guardian of the Golden Land, just as an extra body. Doesn't work as well. But I guess, to its credit, Guardian does have the biggest body out of all of these, having 2500 defense. He could have at least like set the other Golden Land stuff just as extra, just to stop me from ODKing. But we're gonna attack for a decent amount of damage. He'll just use Guardian. I decided not to use my Apex Avion Negate just because I'm nice, and he'll be getting OTK'd from there. So we've ended with 6 cards in our hand too, and with a full board. Goukis are super great at generating advantage in general. So that was our first tool. Let's go on to our next one then. For our next tool, we're up against Grand Maju, I believe, running Threatening Roar. I mean, he's got the Desires. Stall Grand Maju maybe? Yeah, this is definitely some weird Grand Maju variant. He's playing Swift Scarecrow and Battle Fader. I guess he's doing a pure going second build. So, I mean, okay. So we're going to start off with normal special summon of Red Layer, special summon Suprex, activate Isolde, and now that we have 2 Goukis in the graveyard, we don't really have to worry about the Isolde not resolving in this case. But it's fine, we just search the extra Suprex as a follow-up, and then we search the Re-Scorpio, and we already have Headband in our hand, so we just search another rematch. We're going to activate the Isolde, summoning out the Octostretch, and then we do Gouki stuff, dumping Re-Scorpio, summoning out. I did do a misplay here by not summoning this over here. It was a massive blunder. It just always remembered summon it, but thankfully I did have the rematch in my hand, so I can kind of save myself there. Octostretch will trigger, getting another rematch just as follow-up, activated, and activate Reproducus and changing the type. Re-Scorpio will trigger, searching another rematch. I think that was a bit unnecessary. As I said, Headband will trigger, searching a Twist Cobra for next turn, and then we'll go into Virus Berserker, summoning out all our code breakers. Go into Link Cross summons a token. Go into an Avermax, into a Union Carrier, and I forgot to go into a Link Karibo. Yes, I forgot to go into Link Karibo. Otherwise, I would have just linked off that token, but things happen. I'm just so bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. So he is going to start off with his Pot of Desires. We're going to chain our Apex Avion to negate. So we get special summon again. He's going to activate Dimensional Fissure, which will get negated again. And we special summon. And basically he just surrenders. I believe he could have activated another Pot of Desires. And because Apex Avion does negate the activation, Threatening Roar won't really do much because I can just negate with Apex Avion. His Battle Fader wouldn't do much. I could just negate it with Apex Avion, and I have well over game on board. And that was just our second duel. Let's go on to our third one then. So right here we have Orchis, I believe. They've opened 2 hand traps and the Scrap Golem. I mean, hand traps are meh. According to my philosophy, hand traps are trash. They are bricks. They don't deserve to be played, especially in going first decks. Dark Ruler No More is justifiable, but hand traps, they're disgusting. So I believe the best play you can do is go summon Gizmek, normal summon in Skeleton, summon Dingirsu pass. I mean, yeah, he has 2 hand traps to the credit of him, but this is the deck where I decided to take out my Marauding Captain for the Fireflint Lady, because Fireflint Lady just acts as probably one of the best warrior extenders in my opinion. I was shoutouts to the Gouki Discord server for giving me the idea to put in Fireflint Lady. I totally forgot that card existed. So we get to search for, I don't remember what we searched. He's just going to effect Wheeler that. But fortunately we do have the headbat in our hand, so we don't have to worry too much. And we also have a Gouki, so that was kind of lucky on my part. We're going to activate Isolde. He ashes that for some reason. I don't know why he didn't just ash the second effect. But EDO pro players, they're trash. So we're going to summon the Headbat, Reproducus, search the rematch, go change the type to Wing Beast, summon out the Simorgh. We get to search for another rematch as follow up. We're going to summon the 2 Gookis from our graveyard. Link one into a Linkuriboh, go into Codebreaker Virus Swordsman, go into Codebreaker Virus Berserker, summon back everything, summon Linkross, tribute a token for Linkuriboh. Go into an access code. I like to go for access code going second just because it does increase your ODK potential a lot more, because usually you do have 3 attributes in your graveyard. You have the Reproducus, the Linkross / Isolde, and any virus codebreaker people. So he's going to gain 3k. We go into the Union Carrier. Access code will trigger, which will try to pop that Dingirsu, but he will detach one instead. Access code is not once per turn, so yeah, he kind of just surrenders. So he couldn't really do much at that point. At most he could have potentially summoned his Gizmek during the battle phase, which wouldn't have done much, to be honest, because I once again have well over lethal, and if he did block the attack with his Gizmek, I would usually just try to attack first with my Simorgh Bird of Sovereignty. That would take, he would take 3400 because of that, and then pretty much if he blocks that with the Gizmek, he won't be dead technically. He'll still have, I believe, 1400 life points, but I just summon my Apex Avian during the end phase, and there was no way he could have won from that point. And I have the Linkuriboh too, just as good measure in case they tried to run over my Thunderbird. So those were some duels I had. As you can see, this is a very flexible combo. There are just so many permutations of the combo itself. So many extenders. We run a lot of Gookis. Just a very, very consistent combo in itself. So we'll go straight to the deck profile now. So right here we have the deck, 1 copy of Apex Avian and 1 copy of Thunderbird. I'm just going to clear this out now just so that I don't have to explain these two later. What Thunderbird does is basically they're just here for Infinity Gates. Just understand that. When Dragoon comes out, you can probably try to find a way to put in Dragoon in this deck, because if you do have some leftover extenders, you can always just go into the Verte Anaconda and end off on the Dragoon, an Avermax, and a Simorgh. In the Buster Lock variant, when Dragoon comes out, a Gouki plus 2 extenders will equal a 3 negate Appaloosa, a Buster Lock, and an Omni negate in the form of your little Dragoon. So we run 3 copies of Rescorpio. If you want, you can maybe take out 1 copy of Rescorpio, change it for something like a Gouki Guts. I just love Rescorpio a lot, because sometimes in the grind game, if your opponent does put up a couple of floodgates, this card can just act as a very big beater, just to sometimes speed over some stuff. Just a very great card in this deck. 2 copies of Red Layer and 2 copies of Thrasher. I only run 2 of them because they can really be normal summoned or set. I mean, Fortin Thrasher can't be normal summoned or set, but Red Layer can, but nobody really uses that. We run 3 copies of Jump Forward because it can be normal summoned. 1 copy of Zero Day for the Codebreaker engine. 3 copies of Suprex. It's the best Gouki, main deck Gouki specifically, because it can sometimes act as a Goblinberg, and it also just has the Gouki floating effect where it searches another Gouki card. 3 copies of Goblinberg, just the extra warrior extender is super great. 2 copies of Butterspy. Butterspy is Butterspy, you can't go wrong with that. Butterspy is Really great just chaining to normal summon. Even if you normal summon a Re-Scorpio, it will trigger, which is nice. 3 copies of Twist Cobra. The reason why I run 3 of this. Probably the second or third best main deck Gouki, because it does help a lot in OTKing. In some tournament games where I did play Gouki, Twist Cobra just barely helped me win, just because I was able to OTK the Grand Magi player because of Twist Cobra. Just a super great card, and its effect to tribute one also does trigger your Gouki's floating effects, and I think it's worth playing 3 of this, as it is just an extra Gouki normal summon in case you need it. 1 copy of Mist Valley Thunderbird. I don't need to explain this, just can infinitely summon itself. 3 copies of Junk Forward for the free special summon. On top of that, it can be normal summoned. So in this very rare cases where you don't open any Goukis and just open just bunch of extenders, this card can sometimes act as a way. Sometimes you'll just end on a 3 or 4 negate Appaloosa. Sometimes you just have to roll with it. You can't really do much at that point. 1 copy of Headbat. This card, the only reason why I run 1 copy is because you almost never want to draw it as your Gouki normal summon, because full combo is a Gouki except Gouki Headbat explicitly plus an extender. Some people like to run 2 of this. I'm just happy running 1. It's worked so far. You have better Goukis such as Re-Scorpio and Suprex. Gouki Headbat isn't the greatest card in this deck. It is 100% essential to the combo, just like Apex, Savion, and Thunderbird, but you just don't really want to draw it. Sometimes it acts as a hard garnet, but sometimes you just have to roll with it. 3 copies of Fireflint Lady. Fireflint Lady is Fireflint Lady. It's just a free special summon from the hand. I believe in some cases it is possible to do combo with Headbat, and it's possible to do combo with Headbat and an extender. You just have to search Gouki Rematch, summon out the Octo Stretch with your soul, immediately link it into a Link Karibo, and then you instantly use your Gouki Rematch. But the only way you can do your combo with Headbat is Headbat plus 2 extenders, which is why I don't really like running him at too much. Firefly Lady, the best warrior extender by far, just a free special summon if you control a warrior monster. Doesn't require normal summon, doesn't require you to control no monsters, just requires you to special summon, control a warrior, which is super great. 2 copies of Octo Stretch. This is also a card that you don't really want to draw too much, but it is pretty decent. I think I might consider running more than 1 Headbat, just seeing how easy it is to get so many extenders on the field. Maybe taking out a card like Junk Forward. Junk Forward seems a bit steep, but you get what I mean. You can just take out something like this one, Called by the Grave, for a Headbat. Once again, you can just change the deck around however you like, to your preference. I just like the 1 Headbat. 1 copy of Instant Fusion. Just the Raijin is super helpful. Raijin is a warrior, probably the best warrior instant fusion target, because it is a quick effect flip. I would have run Flame Swordsman for the memes, but Raijin just comes in a lot more useful. 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. Just sometimes if you don't have the Gouki, you can just search it with this. And if you do have the Gouki, you can just search another extender, which can help you extend your plays even further and sometimes end on something like an Appaloosa. 2 copies of Rematch. You don't really need to exceed 2 because the duel is usually over in 2 or 3 turns, so you don't need to run 3. 3 copies of Call by Grave for hand traps. 1 copy of Hornet Drones. It's a free, once again, it's free special summon, but does require you to control no monsters. If I wanted to run 2 Headbat, Hornet Drones is probably a card I would take out. But Headbat, Hornet Drones is pretty great by itself. 1 copy of Phoenix Blade and 1 copy of Living Fossil. These are your equipped cards for Soul. It is very, very unfortunate for you if you end up drawing both of these. But Living Fossil can just sometimes act as an extender in your hand, which is why I opt to run one of that too, along with the Phoenix Blade. One copy of Raijin, just the flip is great and it's the instant fusion target. One copy of Avermax to protect your Thunderbird on field. Two copies of Power Load Ogre. If your opponent is playing some weird deck that can like special summon a ton and can somehow out your Avermax, I recommend running Power Load. I recommend using Power Load Ogre instead. If your opponent's using some sort of Kaiju, Crusadia, that weird stuff, Power Load Ogre is the way to go, as you can just end on two 4K beat sticks that are unaffected by everything. On top of that, in some rare cases, you can also end on an Appaloosa in that same combo, a 3 negate one, but it doesn't come up too often, and you'll have a beefier Gouki Power Load Ogre. Running two of it is sometimes worth it. Just the two Power Load Ogre is super great. They just act as towers. One copy of Access Code. Access Code is pretty great. Just being able to gain attack and whatnot. Being able to pop, it just helps you OTK a lot easier going second, and it's a lot easier to OTK using Access Code rather than using Boral Sword, mainly because Boral Sword does require you to change a monster to defense, and in some cases you might not have that monster to change to defense. The Link Cross token can sometimes act as one. If you know you're going for the Boral Sword, you can just switch it to summon a Link Cross token in attack and change that to defense for Boral Sword. But I just like Access Code better, as it can entirely demolish your opponent's field. One copy of Appaloosa. As I said, Appaloosa does come up sometimes. In some cases, Appaloosa, you can end on it, but as in the first replay, like I showed you, you might have to compromise for your attack negator with the Link Repo. Appaloosa just acts as an extra layer of negates, so if they somehow kaiju your Apex Avion, Appaloosa will always be there. One copy of Codebreaker Virus Berserker and one copy of Virus Swordsman. Both of them are just for the Codebreaker engine, and in case you don't know how the Codebreaker engine works, basically all you need is a monster with a nice couple of down arrows and two other monsters, and all you do is summon Virus Swordsman. Its effect will summon out a 0-day from your deck, hand, or graveyard, so it doesn't matter if you draw it. Go into a Virus Berserker. Virus Berserker can summon two Codebreakers from your graveyard, so you can just summon both of these out. And then I like to link this Virus Swordsman into a Link Cross, and usually I do have the Link Rebo in my graveyard, especially with this deck because you do summon Octo Stretch most of the time. So so basically you just end up turning two monsters into a Link 3 and three other monsters, which is super duper great. Two copies of Isolde. One copy is honestly just for a follow-up, in case you're going for a follow-up and you just want to go into something like an Access Code or an Appaloosa if your Infinite Negates were outed. Isolde just is a nice utility card, and it is 100% essential to the combo. One copy of Union Carrier to equip Thunderbird and get it on the field. One copy of Reaperdocus to change the type to Winged Beast, which is mainly how you do go into your Simorgh. One copy of Link Cross just to generate tokens so that you can later summon Link Rebo. In some instances, Link Rebo can just act as a battle negator because battle negators are important in this deck, which is why Infinite Negates aren't as scary as they used to be back in Lunalight era, because Lunalight era you were able to consistently get out the Avermax, and Link Rebo can just act as a worse one, but still nice. And as I said, in some cases, if you want, you can just put in the headbutt, take out like a Hornet Drone, because we just do run so many extenders. So that was the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. Do like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.